Hey, everybody. It is Sunday, October 29th, 2023, and you are listening to episode 32 of Black Box Signal. I am your host, as always, Chase Johnson. Thank you for joining me on the program this week. Dustin is still out enjoying his honeymoon period, so we got another solo one with me. Y'all are just going to have to deal, all right? All right? I'm holding it down. Okay. Yeah. Took last week off for the wedding. And it was a great time. Won't go too much into it. I want Dustin to be able to talk about it a little bit when he gets back. But yeah, it was a great time. It's got a lovely wife. Got to hang out with some friends that I don't normally get to see outside of work, I guess. Yeah, it's a good time. Other than that, I haven't been up to too much. We went to the pumpkin patch today, and it was fucking cold. We literally only got cider and donuts and then left. It was miserable. But you know, is what it is. Little programming note, I will be also taking next week off. It is my wife's birthday, so want to spend time with her. It's actually on Sunday, so yeah. I don't got a whole ton to banter about in the beginning. I'm kind of terrible about riffing off myself. So why don't we just go ahead and get into games? First thing I want to touch on is I'm still chipping away at Cocoon. I am about, I want to say like 60 or 70% through the game. I have four orbs now. That game is still really fun. I've really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. I talked about it more on last week on the pod, or the last episode of the podcast. There's a video up on the YouTube channel if you want to check it out. But yeah, highly recommend. And then we will get into, let's see, these next two I'll spend some time with. Even though I'm not the biggest Call of Duty fan anymore, I did manage to check out the Modern Warfare 3 beta. Anytime there's a beta for anything that's relatively big or has some buzz around it, I'll take a look at it. It's a Call of Duty game. I haven't played the last few Call of Duty games. I haven't played, well, wow. Actually, come to think about it, I have not played a Call of Duty game since, like, hardcore, since Black Ops 3, maybe? That was like the last one I got really big into, right after I had my daughter, I think. But I mean, what is there to say? I mean, the cool thing that I found was that all the maps from the original Modern Warfare 2 have been remastered and thrown into this beta, and are presumably going to be in the game. So that was cool to see like some of like High Rise and Favela and some of the other ones. I think Estate was on there. The class system is relatively the same from what I remember, except instead of perks, now you have like if you want a sleight of hand perk, you attach like quick gloves that allow you to reload fast. If you want to run fast, you attach the lightweight boosts, and then you have like a vest that you can attach. And I will say that compared to like, I did play like the beta for like Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2, the reboot. And the one thing I'll say is the movement feels a lot snappier, and the time to kill seems a little bit higher. So if you start getting shot at, you're not just fucked right away. You can kind of, I wouldn't say turn on somebody and take them out. Maybe if they're a really bad shot, you can do that, but it at least gives you a chance to like escape, come at it from a different angle, and re-engage, which I think is a little neat. It's something that I feel like that's been lacking from the series for a long time. That is one thing that I really liked about Halo back in the day, was that the time to kill was so long that if you got out of a hairy situation, you could kind of, as I said, attack it from a different angle, refocus, re-engage. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the guns feel like Call of Duty guns. Plays like a Call of Duty with better movement, I guess is what I would say. I don't know how I feel about the class system. I'm not going to be picking this game up, but we'll have to see, how people feel about it when it actually releases. Then the big game of the week, we're saving one game for Dustin. I will let you all know that Dustin is playing Spider-Man 2. So when he is back on the podcast in not next week, but the week after, we are going to go into his thoughts on Spider-Man 2 so far. But the game that I picked up is I picked up actually thanks to him, I picked up Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Now initially when this game was first showed off, I was a little hesitant because it looked a lot like the new Super Mario Brothers series, which I have a mixed love-hate relationship with that series. The first one was like really novel, but then when they kept making like, new Super Mario Brothers Wii U and all the different iterations, it just felt kind of, I don't want to say lazy, but it just felt very repetitive. So I was a little worried when I initially saw the trailer for this game. As more trailers kind of shown about it, it piqued my interest a little bit more. And my daughter has never really played like a proper 2D Mario. We've played Odyssey together, and then we played the re-release of Super Mario 3D World. But I never really like a traditional 2D Mario. So I really wanted to pick this one up and give it a shot. And I mean, not to bury the lead here, just straight up, it's really fucking phenomenal. Wonderful, if you would, pun intended. It plays. I said it on the YouTube video on my stream last night. If you want to take a look, there is an archive up on the YouTube channel right now. Of me playing it from last night. And I said it a few times on that stream, and I'm going to kind of reiterate it here. This feels more like a proper follow-up to like Super Mario World. Like in a world that the Nintendo 64 or Mario 64 was never invented and the 3D Mario's never happened. This feels like what would be like what would follow Super Mario World next. And there's been a lot of debate going around is like, is this a mainline Mario game? Is this not? I feel it so far. It is a mainline Mario game. The new Super Mario games, I don't really consider that the mainline. I would say like, you got your initial 1 through 3, Mario World, 64, Galaxy, Sunshine, even though I don't like Sunshine, Odyssey, and then now Wonder. This feels like a proper Mario game. A lot of the changes that they made to this game were really smart. They took out the collision during the when you're playing multiplayer, so you can't bump into each other anymore, which is really nice as somebody who plays with an 8-year-old. That is like our biggest point of contention in our household when we're all playing it together is some people getting overzealous, whether it's me or my wife or Violet, if accidentally bumping into each other and bouncing off each other's heads and accidentally setting us into a pit. They completely took this out, which is real nice. Also, I think, let me think, what else? So far, the only two new power-ups I use, and I don't know if the bubble suit is new, but I've gotten the bubble suit, and then of course the one that they showed in the trailer was the elephant power up. They're cool. They're if I'm comparing it to Mario World, I don't know. I feel like the cape is still like top tier, and we haven't seen the cape in so long. But you know, they're cool. The elephant, I think it's kind of cool when the how the music changes when you get the elephant suit. You like there's kind of like lyrics ish in the background. I'm gonna do a terrible impression right here, but there's a like ba 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 in the background, and that changes to like a trombone slash tuba when you are in the elephant suit. So I found that like a little nice little touch. Um, also I've heard some complaints about the music just being okay. I think the music is really fucking good. As someone who also didn't care for the music in the new Super Mario Bros. They used wah way too much. Like every 2 seconds, wah, 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 wah. Like it was just really, really overused. Versus this, in comparison, I mean, is it the best music that they've ever put out? Probably not. I would still say that the music from like Super Mario World is like probably still top tier. But this is a very nice soundtrack from what I've heard so far. I'm only in the third area. So you do like your traditional area, you go to a water area, but there's no castle in the water area. And then you go up to a cloud area, a mountainous area that's a mixture between cloud and like mountains. So there's snow and ice. There is a castle there. That's as far as I've made it so far. And yeah, it just plays really well. The badge system is pretty cool. So if you haven't heard, you can you can equip a badge in any level. And you have different various ones that, you know, some of them are just like passive, where like anytime you defeat a monster or defeat an enemy, you get some coins. Or there's a passive one where you automatically start with a mushroom in your item slot, in your item bank when you start a level. Then there's some other ones that like you start with a parachute, or you have a parachute. So if you jump in the air and then hold down one of the shoulder buttons, and believe it's R, yeah, it's on the right side. You can hold either one down. You'll pull out a parachute and kind of gently float down. They have the dolphin kick for when you're in a water level so you can swim better. They have one that gives you an extra jump up when you're trying to wall jump. Just things like that. I haven't gotten all of them yet. Obviously, there's a lot of them. You can buy some. The one worry I do have about this game that reminds me of New Super Mario Brothers is you had like the big 3 gold coins that you would get to unlock further levels, and if you didn't have enough of them, you would have to go back and kind of play to get more big gold coins. That's kind of how the Wonder Seeds work in this. If you don't know, the Wonder Seeds, you get a Wonder Seed for finishing the level, and then there's a Wonder Flower that you could find in each level that changes whatever is going on in the level. Like in the first level, when you find the Wonder Flower, it makes all the pipes come to life, like they're like inchworms. So they kind of inchworm across the screen, and you can kind of ride them. The real funny one that I enjoyed was on this piranha plant level. If you find the Wonder Flower in that, the piranha plants start all like singing a song, and they start like popping out on beat of their pipes and stuff like that. It's silly. There's somewhere like that I've seen. I haven't gotten to this yet, but like you can find one in a water level, and then it puts the water on the ceiling instead of having it below you. You know, things like that. That's kind of a cool mechanic. But my worry is that I hope that because certain levels later on, like the castles, you need to have so many Wonder Seeds to open up a castle. I really hope that it doesn't become a situation where like now I've got to go back and grind old levels. I do feel like that they have alleviated that a little bit because there's a shop in each section that can sell you wonder seeds for the purple coins. There's purple coins too. There's so many collectibles in this fucking game. But yeah, so hopefully I won't run into anything like that. So far so good. But it's just a really good game. I'm really enjoying it. Trying to think if there's anything else to say. Oh, if you play as like Yoshi or any of the Yoshis or Nabbit, you can't take any damage from enemies. But so it's a great one to let like really young children pick if you're trying to play together. However, the drawback is that if you play as Yoshi or Nabbit, you cannot use any of the power-ups. So you can't use like the elephant suit. You can't use like the fire flowers or anything like that. They have plenty of other characters you can choose from, though. You can do Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Yellow Toad, Blue Toad, and Toadette, I believe, is all the ones you can do. But yeah, really fun game. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say about it. Yeah, it's really fun. That's really all I could say. Is it's a really good, like, if it's a good send off for the Switch too. Also, if this is like the last year of the Switch, how they opened up with, you know, Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, and then now we're closing with Tears of the Kingdom, and then a proper 2D Mario. And yeah, I'll like I said, I'm not super far into it, so I'll definitely have to play more. But yeah, so far, really great. Feels good to play. The controls are great. Mario moves well. That's really what you want from a traditional platformer. And yeah. And then the next thing, this isn't anything that I played, but I checked out that Xbox partner preview. There was, it was a lot of stuff that was already seen. They showed a good chunk of Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, the Snake Eater remake. If you know anything about me, you know how I feel about Snake Eater. It was probably my least favorite of the Metal Gear Solids, but hey, whatever, it's there. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth was that Like a Dragon game that had Kiryu waking up like on the beach nude. But they basically have a mode in it, and it's like, what is it? Don something Island. I cannot remember now. So apologies, but basically they took Like a Dragon and all the mini games like you would have and fused it with Animal Crossing, because you can like build a house, build shops, like do all this like Animal Crossing style stuff, and it's just the right amount of stupid for Yakuza. So I'm cool with it, and I almost wish that part was its own game instead of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth being like a whole bit, like it being a side game for Like a Dragon. They also showed off RoboCop Rogue City, which if you haven't checked out any of that game, it just looks silly. It's a real big dumb RoboCop game. If you ever wanted to play a RoboCop power fantasy, this is straight up that. They showed off this weird game that I don't know how to feel about called The Finals, which is a new first-person shooter, but it's set in an arena. Now, not the way you'd think, like an arena shooter. I mean, like, it's this big level with buildings and stuff like that, surrounded by a giant-ass coliseum filled with fans. So, it's a interesting concept, but also kind of little dark, because you're literally watching people kill each other, I think. And or there's a crowd spectating this. So that was kind of, it looked interesting. And then the last one that actually surprised me, because I never really played too much of Alan Wake 1, but I absolutely loved Control. They showed a trailer for Alan Wake 2. And I'm not going to lie, it looks really fucking good. So if you have a chance to go check out the Xbox partner preview, highly recommend. It's super short. It's only about a half hour. So, and they kind of go bang bang through trailers real fast. So you're not, sitting around listening to a bunch of devs talk. And yeah, that's kind of it. But yeah, Alan Wake 2 looked really, really, really good, and they show off some gameplay. And I don't have the funds to pick it up, but I'm tempted to maybe get this down the line. Even though like I said, I never played the first Alan Wake. At least enough of the first Alan Wake. But I was huge in Control. Control was freaking amazing, and it's set in the same universe. So I'm really excited to see how well that does. And yeah, I guess with that, we actually did a decent amount of time there. We can go ahead and get into. I got 2 weeks worth of news for you. I kind of mixed up the weeks of news here, so these stories are just kind of all scattershot over the last 2 weeks. Some of them will be from last week, some of them will be from the week prior. But the first one comes from Kotaku. Bethesda exec Pete Hines is leaving the company after 24 years. The head of publishing at Starfield Dev is retiring and ready for an exciting new chapter. Bethesda publishing head Pete Hines is retiring from the Starfield developer after 24 years, he announced on Twitter on October 16th. Hines' decision comes only a few days after Microsoft, which owns Bethesda Game Studios, was rubber stamped to complete its $69 billion Activision Blizzard buy. The exact quote is, "I will begin in an exciting new chapter of my life, exploring interests and passions, donating my time where I can, and taking more time to enjoy life." Hines wrote, "This was not a decision I came to easily or quickly, but after an amazing career culminating with the incredible launch of Starfield, it feels like the time is right." Not too much really to say about this, except, he's been there for 24 years. I don't blame the guy for now trying to, wanting to get out, and, calling it good, especially now, with Microsoft probably going to start. I'm going to assume that, that they're probably going to start tightening their grip a little bit as far as, what goes out. Because a lot of these games were already in development before even the Bethesda buy. So, good time to get out before, you start getting, the Microsoft execs breathing down your neck and whatnot. Next one comes from Video Games Chronicle. Media Molecule is reportedly laying off about 25% of its staff. The Dreams and Little Big Planet developer Media Molecule is set to lay off 15 to 20% of its staff, according to a new report. The original report did say 25, but it said it's planned to lay off around 20 of its 135 employees. The news comes a month after Media Molecule ended its support for Dreams, which was released in early access on April 2019 before the official launch in February 2020. It is also stated that the support studio at Sony, Visual Arts, is also seeing layoffs. This is kind of we've been seeing a lot of this, unfortunately, since, the large amount of Epic layoffs. We saw layoffs at a Naughty Dog. It's just, we're seeing this trend keep going through of just layoffs after layoffs after layoffs. And it's really unfortunate. Telltale Games just laid off a number of employees. And it's, I guess, Microsoft confirms that they're going to lay off about 10,000 employees. Now, this is Microsoft proper. CD Projekt Red it announced in July to lay off employees. So this is just kind of, unfortunately, an industry trend right now. Little aside, kind of makes me feel like me flunking out of game dev school was dodging a bullet. But kind of continuing on the back of that, another company owned by Epic, about half of Bandcamp employees have been laid off, which is a pretty big a layoff. I'm trying to see, this article comes from The Verge. It just says 50%. It doesn't say how many employees that is. But again, that sucks. And then we'll just piggyback this next story off of it. This comes from gamesindustry.biz. Over 6,000 games industry jobs have been lost in 2023 so far. And September was the worst month for layoffs. This sucks. It really sucks that that this has been a growing trend. Unfortunately, we kind of talked about it last week with you know, a lot of, you know, devs taking out, a lot of publishers taking out, and it's not just in the games industry, it's everywhere, but taking out, you know, massive amounts of loans, basically free money, coming out, you know, making more money than they did out of the pandemic, and then having to cut jobs, which doesn't make sense to me in an industry that seems like it's relatively healthy, but also on the flip side, relatively unstable, because you have a lot of developers where they release one game, or sometimes in the case of God, was it X Defiant? Or no, what was that Sega shooter that we talked about on the last episode? You all will know what I'm talking about. With that getting canceled, sometimes your games don't even come out before you're laid off, and it just sucks. I just hope everybody that's affected can land on their feet and find new work soon. Because this sucks. 6,000 employees is a lot. Next one comes from Gaming Bolt. But I was kind of seeing it in other places. This was just the fastest source that I could find when pulling up the articles today. Nintendo Switch 2, and this is a rumor, utilizes ray reconstruction DLSS 3.5 and may also have a digital and physical edition. The standard edition would be $450, and then an all digital edition would be rumored to be $400. Again, this is all rumor. But ray reconstruction, now I know what ray tracing is. Not entirely sure what exactly ray reconstruction is. I think they're just trying to get this as close as they can to like a PS4, hopefully PS4 Pro level of being able to run. But yeah, not too much more to say about that, because like I said, these are all rumors. But you know, I guess I would hope to see that they would have something along those lines. Next one comes from Polygon, and this is a surprise to absolutely no one, in my opinion. Spider-Man 2 is Sony's newest, fastest-selling first-party game ever. Let's see. Looks like in the first 24 hours, Marvel Spider-Man 2 has taken the particular crown, with publisher Sony Interactive Entertainment announcing Monday that it sold more than 2.5 million copies of that game in the first 24 hours. I repeated that, but whatever. Seems like like I said, they keep moving that metric, because I believe when they said it, like God of War, it said it sold 5.1 in like the first week, and that was the fastest selling. But for Spider-Man to achieve half of that in 24 hours, that's pretty impressive. Ghost of Tsushima was one of those back in 2020 with 2.4 million copies, which was the fastest first-party original IP debut in PlayStation history. Again, not shocked. I've heard nothing but good things about that game, except for what we're about to go into a little bit, which seems like it's being addressed. We'll just roll into it. Video Games Chronicle has reported that some Spider-Man 2 physical copies are failing to install. It's currently unknown how many discs are affected, and it's mostly affecting, looks like, most people in Europe. It does look like, though, that it is not too much of an issue, because, you know, they're literally telling people like, hey, if you get a bum disc that's like pausing on the install, take it out, return your disc, get another one. It seems like retailers are being pretty cool about this. I'm sure a patch is going to come down the road here. But that's unfortunate. That's one thing you don't want to see happen. But at least it seems from what I'm reading in this article that retailers are being pretty cool about it. And then the last on the Spider-Man 2 front, bit of an oopsie. This comes from Kotaku, but it was kind of everywhere else. Spider-Man 2 error goes viral, and developer promises to fix. And this has already been updated. Long story short, you all know that Miles Morales is of African American and Puerto Rican descent. However, in his room, they showed him having a Cuban flag instead of the Puerto Rican flag. Bit of an oopsie, but you know, I mean, I don't know how you make a mistake like that. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's not the biggest deal, especially because according to this article, it looks like they have already patched and fixed it. So good on you to catch it. Good on fans that have caught it. Good on devs that caught it, and good on them to go ahead and patch that up. But yeah, little silly because it's pretty common knowledge that, you know, Miles Morales is Puerto Rican, not Cuban. Little silly, but hey, you know, good on them for at least, you know, addressing it and fixing it. Let's see. Next one comes from GameSpot. The PS5 Slim release date was reportedly leaked. The PlayStation 5 Slim model may launch in early November. A data miner said that the new slimmed down PS5 launch would launch on November 10th in the US. This date reportedly applies to both versions of the console, including one with a disk drive and one with the all digital unit. A report via Video Games Chronicle added that the PS5 Slim bundle with Marvel's Spider-Man 2 will launch 2 days before that on November 8th, and this bundle is priced at $560. We kind of knew that was coming. We kind of thought that once these current PS5s kind of run out of stock, they're going to go ahead and move forward with this new Slim model. Doesn't surprise me that they're going to try to get it out before the holiday, get it out before Black Friday. So that seems pretty plausible that that's going to happen. That bundle seems pretty set in stone, and I wouldn't see the point of releasing a bundle with the Slim console in it and then not just releasing the Slim console a couple days later. That seems totally like it's totally going to happen. Next one on the PS5 front, this one comes from IGN. PS5 Slim's optional disk drive needs to connect to the internet to pair it to the console. Look, and now this is just looks like due to screenshots of the Modern Warfare 3 bundle leaking out, it does say internet connection required to pair disk drive and PS5 console upon setup. So the optional disk drive essentially is going to need to have like an authentication process. I don't like this for one real big reason. It kind of fucks up game preservation. And like what I mean by that is that years down the line, what if you need to replace a drive? Like when the PS7 or 8 is out, okay, I'm talking like far down the line, and you still have a PS5 and you need to replace the drive. You replace the drive. What if those servers are no longer up to authenticate that disk drive? That seems like that could be an issue, and they don't really have any solution offered as of now. So that's my only big worry with that. It makes sense that they would want you to authenticate it. However, I do totally see somebody that's going to figure out how to like jailbreak that thing and like plug in a hard drive and get it to like fake it through its authentication process. So I could definitely see that being an issue too. But yeah, kind of a weird move. I guess my suggestion would be buy a current if you want to have a disk drive, buy the current PS5 right now while it's still out. Because yikes, that I don't know. Next one comes from Video Games Chronicle. Microsoft CEO says it's doubling down on being a game producer and publisher. The Xbox company is all in on games following the Activision Blizzard acquisition. In an interview with MSN, the acquisition topic is brought up, and Nadella is asked why it is so important, especially given how big the $65 billion acquisition cost is. It is, but we are really excited about it. Sindel replied, explaining that games have been one of Microsoft's three main arms since the company in its early days. For us, there are a few things that go all the way back for us as a company, he explained. Gaming is one, right? When I think about Microsoft, I think of perhaps developer tools, proprietary software, and gaming. Those are the three things that we've done from the very beginning. And so to us, gaming is one place where we think that we have a real contribution to make in consumer markets. Which is real funny that he says this, because the next story from GameDeveloper.com says Microsoft CEO's compensation no longer tied to Game Pass growth. This is the same thing. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella appears to no longer have his performance incentives tied to Xbox Game Pass. In an SEC filing first spotted by Axios, a specific growth milestone was not listed for Nadella's pay targets for the end of fiscal year on June 2023. So those two statements kind of contradict each other. It's like, yeah, we at Microsoft definitely care about games, but I don't want my pay tied to how well Game Pass does. I've been saying for years to a lot of people, there are a lot of people that they're still very silly and they like to blame Bill Gates anytime Microsoft makes a decision or doesn't make any money. But I am here to tell you, Bill Gates has wanted to sell off Xbox multiple times. Phil Spencer is the one that has been primarily in charge of Xbox. So if you have any gripes, that's who you need to gripe with. I know a lot of people like to shit on Bill Gates. I love to shit on Bill Gates, but the guy has no fucking skin in the game when it comes to Xbox. He really could give a shit less. If somebody offered him enough money tomorrow to take Xbox off his hands, he would probably do it. Full stop. Continuing with the Xbox news, this comes from IGN as well. Phil Spencer reiterates 100% parity for Call of Duty, no exclusive skins or betas. We have no goal of trying to use Call of Duty or try to get you to buy an Xbox console to play Call of Duty. This comes directly from the Xbox podcast. You can go ahead and give that a listen. He went on to talk about several other things, their catalog, yada yada yada. But he basically stated that and if you didn't know, the exclusivity deal with Sony, all the little, bonus, we're up this year. This is the last Call of Duty that is going to have maps first on Sony, skins first exclusive to Sony, et cetera, et cetera. But he wants to have, he claims anyway that he wants the Call of Duty community to basically be equal across the board. So, cool if he does that. But we will definitely have to wait and see. And he also kind of talked a little bit about, the whole wide catalog that Microsoft has now. And it got me thinking of what other things that I would love to see come out of Microsoft. Basically, I would love to see more Tony Hawk, personally. It was really a shame that Tony Hawk kind of got shut down after that 1 and 2 remake, because I would have loved a remake of 3 and 4. I would have I've said this multiple times, I would fucking love a remake of Underground. Underground is probably my favorite Tony Hawk game that they've ever made. Underground 2 a little less, but that's when they started to go real in the jackass Viva La Bam direction. But Underground 1, Thug, was so good. And I was really hoping we would get to that. But now with Microsoft kind of, owning, Activision Blizzard, could we see more Tony Hawk? Could we see a proper Warcraft game? Not World of Warcraft, but Warcraft, like a Warcraft 4. Could we see more StarCraft? I would be down for that. The one thing that he did mention, and we kind of talked about last week, was Guitar Hero. I don't know if I'm really interested in buying and housing plastic instruments in the years coming, but I mean, sure. More excited about the other games. The other weird thing, imagine Spyro. Spyro is owned by Activision. So like we could see Spyro on Xbox. That would be a little weird, but I would be cool with it. Because nothing's been done with Spyro in a while. But yeah, I guess those would be my big wish list. Would be like Tony Hawk, a proper Warcraft, and StarCraft. Those would probably be my top 3 wish list Activision Blizzard games that we haven't seen anything from in a while. We're gonna have a shorter episode tonight, clearly, but the last few episodes, or last few stories, not episodes. This one comes from Ars Technica. Valve begins reversing CS2 bans caused by AMD's anti-lag driver. Just to kind of summarize this article, the new graphics card for the AMD drivers, was basically banning Counter-Strike 2 players, which is an issue, obviously. They have since started reversing these bans, but yeah, bit of an oopsie, for sure. Let's see. AMD's latest driver has made their anti-lag feature available for CS2, which is implemented by detouring engine DLL functions. And I guess that is what's tripping it and making people get banned. It's making them look like they're cheating when in reality that they're not. So good on them for trying to fix it and reverse the bans. But yikes, that's rough. This next one actually comes from the Analog website. If you don't know who Analog is a company that was releasing like updated versions of old consoles. Like if I go to their store page here, they have the Analog Pocket, which is a lot like which is basically a Game Boy and Game Boy Advanced machine. Basically, it's hardware-based emulation. You could take one of your old consoles or one of your old carts from a Game Boy or a Game Boy Advance, plug it into one of these things, and it would work just like it would on a Game Boy. They also had the NT, the Super NT, which is the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. They also have, let's see, the Mega SG, which is like the Genesis. And the reason why I'm saying this is now they are making what they're calling the Analog 3D, which is essentially the same thing, but with the N64. A reimagining, it says right on their website, it's coming in 2024, a reimagining of the N64, 4K resolution, original display modes, and reference quality recreations of specific model CRTs and PVMs, old TVs, basically, for the layman's term. This is cool. This stuff has always been a little out of my price range, honestly. The Analog Pocket was $250, and let me see how much was the Super NT? And these are only available for a limited amount of time. I want to say the Super NT was like $400, something like that. But I mean, it's really cool to be able to have like, essentially a Super Nintendo with a wireless controller that looks exactly like the Super Nintendo, and you can plug in your old carts to it. It's really cool that someone is caring about games preservation after we just talked about what Sony's doing with the disk drive. So yeah, no price yet. I'm guessing it's going to be a little pricey just because of the hardware and the tech they use. Tends to make these devices a little bit on the pricier side. Like I said, the Analog Pocket is $250. Sold out now, but $250. So yeah, little on the pricier side. So I could imagine this being $400, maybe $500. But yeah. Last 3 here. This comes from video. These last 3 actually all come from Video Games Chronicle. Metal Gear Solid 4, 5, and Peace Walker allegedly referenced in MGS collection files. That's according to images shared by a Reddit user, which claims to show files that determine which game the collection should read assets from, mentioning the 3 not included titles. If you do remember that this is the Metal Gear, the collection, the Master Collection did say Collection Volume 1, which was Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake, Metal Gear Solid, and then also Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3. But it wouldn't surprise me because they did name this collection Volume 1 that there might be a collection that includes 4, 5, and Peace Walker later. No big surprise. Or not no big surprise, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was true. And then Metal Gear Solid Cologne will let you smell like Shadow Moses Islands. Only 1,000 units of the cologne will be produced. But yes, apparently, and this is a quote, taking inspiration from the game's legendary setting, this unique cologne opens up with a crisp freshness of hand-picked mushrooms and forest soil and evolves to reveal a heart enriched with aromatic scents designed to take the wearer on a sensory journey, transporting them to a captivating and complex landscape of Shadow Moses Island. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid Cologne. Apparently, like I said, only 1,000 will be produced, and it will only be sold in the UK and some European countries. If you want to smell like Solid Snake or like Shadow Moses Island from Metal Gear Solid 1, apparently that's what you have to do is buy this Metal Gear Solid Cologne. Yeah. And then the last one, God, this is fucking cursed. Straight up. Blizzard is giving away a PC, a Diablo-themed PC that is liquid-cooled with real human blood. Players must donate blood in real life to unlock the sweepstakes and get in-game rewards. The Diablo 4 promotion, which Blizzard is calling Blood Harvest, encourages U.S. citizens to donate blood at a clinic of their choice. They then have to submit proof of their donation, which will then be added to a running total. Once 666 quarts of blood have been donated in total, the sweepstakes will open. At that point, any U.S. player will be able to enter the competition via Instagram and Twitter. The grand prize will be a custom liquid-cooled PC infused with real human blood, according to Blizzard. So I don't think this is going to be cooled entirely with blood, but I think it's going to be infused in the coolant. No, this is cursed. Absolutely cursed. This is like how you have like demons in your computer. This is how you cause a hex. Like that's just what? Like I don't even know what to say. Like, does anybody actually want that in their lives? Also, how good of a coolant is blood for a PC? I mean, it did state that, blood is going to be infused in the coolant, but, doesn't our blood keep us warm? Doesn't that sound like the exact opposite of what you want going on your PC parts that are like running extremely hot? I don't know. It seems silly. Very, very silly, and like I said, absolutely fucking cursed. Yeah. And with that, that's all I got for you all this week. Like I said, 2 shorter episodes, these last 2. As I said, I'm terrible with riffing off myself. So once we get Dustin back, I'm sure we'll get back into our, normal cadence of things. I don't really have too many plans this week. I would just say keep an eye on our TikTok, keep an eye on our YouTube shorts, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Even if you don't listen to the whole podcast, you just end up checking our clips out on TikTok and on YouTube. Definitely, just like us, help us out. You can follow us at @_BlackBoxSignal on YouTube and on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitch at /BlackBoxSignal. You can follow us on Blue Sky at blackboxsignal.bsky.social. And you can follow me at chasing_chase on Twitter, Chasing Chase TV on Twitch, and Chasing Chase bsky.bsky.social on Blue Sky. And you can also email us. It's been a while since we've got an email. You can email us at email any question. Can be non-game related. Could be, you can even start an argument with us. We don't care. At blackboxsignalpodcast@gmail.com. And as I said, help us out, like, subscribe, whatever you tell me I suck. And yeah, until 2 weeks from now. Also check out the Super Mario Wonder stream. That was a fun stream. But as always, until next time, stay safe, comrades.